I have been playing Pikmin games for pretty much as long as I can remember. One of my earliest memories is of a tiny Ben sitting under the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve, getting to open one present the night before Christmas, and that present being Pikmin for the brand new GameCube that we just got. And me sitting there under the light of the CRT, plucking my first red Pikmin, not knowing that this would be the start to a lifelong dedication to the art of Dan Dory. But the life of a Pikmin fan only blooms once or twice per decade, and the rest of our time is spent wilting away as we wait for the next mainline title in the Pikmin series to be released. So instead of embracing Pikmin bloom and going outside to touch grass, I stayed inside and decided to see what the Pikmin mod scene has to offer. Now, if you're anything like me, you've already become familiar with the Nintendo mod and ROM hack scene for other games, particularly the bigger titles like Pokemon, Zelda, Mario, those types of games. However, I had never heard anyone talk about Pikmin mods or ROM hacks, so I wasn't sure if there was even a scene for this, let alone if there was anything worth talking about in the first place. And maybe if you are at all familiar with the Pikmin fan base online, you will not be surprised to hear that there is indeed a mod scene, and it is every bit as crazy as some of the other creations made by this fan base. All of the mods I will be looking at today are made in the Pikmin 2 game engine, or mods for Pikmin 2. That is because Pikmin 2's engine is far more robust and mature than Pikmin 1's, and out of the two GameCube games, there just seems to be much more you can do with that engine itself, so everyone seems to be focusing on that game in general. And it's fine by me, because Pikmin 2 is my favorite anyways, because I guess I like having all my Pikmin die by traps in caves or something. Usually you can expect from mods and stuff like this for pre-existing games to primarily see things like level packs and improvement patches, those types of things. And while those do exist for Pikmin 2, and we will be looking at a few of those today, let's just say the variety of experiences that I was able to find, primarily from the creator Pikhacker, definitely exceeded my expectations going in. And I was surprised these were even able to be accomplished in the Pikmin engine to begin with. So yeah, we're in for a ride, to say the least. So without further ado, let's jump into the perplexing world of Pikmin mods. Get it perplexing like the level? The Pikmin level perplexing pool? So what better place to start than the adventures of Gilbert and Hank? This is a mod where they've taken the entire campaign of Pikmin 2 and replaced the captains of our adventure, Olimar and Louie, with the dynamic duo of Hank, the water wraith, and Big Gilbert, the giant bread bug. So, the water wraith is one of the most terrifying creatures to grace Pikmin in general, and then the bread bug is an interesting enemy that has appeared in multiple Pikmin games that steals your stuff. So what happens if we take one of the most terrifying creatures and a docile creature that can't, in general, hurt you, and makes them the playable characters? Well, to start, you don't have any Pikmin, and also this mod is just really crazy as far as the bugs and stuff go. Oh, that's not what's supposed to happen. So Gilbert's role is to go around rolling over all the enemies and clearing away for Hank. But honestly, Hank can handle himself. Most enemies don't seem to do much to Hank in general, but while I was playing, I did have Gilbert go out and murder everybody because, you know, how often do you get to play as a water wraith and roll over Bulborbs? So, you know, I took the opportunity. But, so he'll go around and do that, and then Hank goes out, and no matter how heavy something is, he can pick it up and he will carry it back to the ship. The challenge here comes from the fact that since you are a bread bug and a water wraith with no Pikmin, certain obstacles cannot be passed at all. So in the first area, there are paper bags that you need to compress by throwing Pikmin onto it, and you need to find your way to basically clip around these paper bags to get the treasure and move on to the next area. And after running around the Valley of Repose for a good amount of time trying to get the battery across these invisible walls, I gave up and moved on to the first cave, where you can find the first piece of a globe that will then unlock the second area of the game, the Awakening Wood, where I then proceeded to just fly through the caves in this area, all the way to completing up to 40% of the debt. So I ended up playing quite a bit of the adventures of Gilbert and Hank, probably just because I wanted to see how far I could get. There are some interesting things that you will have to pull off to push forward through this adventure. At one point, I figured out that if you backed into one of the destructible walls with an item in Hank's mouth and then released it, you could clip through the wall. Oh, yeah. That helps as there's a lot of stuff behind walls. Hank can also pull things out of the ground even if you can't see them, which I didn't have the treasure tracker for a while because I did the caves in a really weird order, so that ended up with me just going to little dead ends and caves and mashing the A button to see if Hank would yank something out of the ground or not. But he does have that ability as well, and honestly, fighting some of these Pikmin 2 bosses with Gilbert, just having him run up to the boss and watching the boss's health bar just disappear will forever be entertaining. So after getting all the way to the Snagret hole in Area 2, completing 40% of the debt, and unlocking the perplexing pool, I said goodbye to Gilbert and Hank, maybe to return someday, but definitely getting my fill of bread bug and water wraith gameplay. At least for now, for one of them. So yeah, you'll see what that means later. Moving on to our next mod, which happens to be even further from the original gameplay mechanics of Pikmin, and can barely be called a Pikmin game. It just happens to be in the Pikmin engine. That being Friday Night Pikmin, which is indeed a mod of Pikmin 2 to turn it into Friday Night Funkin'. And to preface this, I've never played Friday Night Funkin' before. Like, I barely know Friday Night Funkin' even exists. Like, I've seen it around. I don't know much about it at all other than the gameplay kind of looks like DDR, and I've played rhythm games before. Like, I've played Guitar Hero, Rock Band. I love Rhythm Heaven, which is completely different, but you know. But this Pikmin 2 mod will be my first experience with the Friday Night Funkin' gameplay, I guess. So yeah, let's dive into that. When you start this mod up, you are greeted by the challenge mode screen, which is a grid of leaves that will then turn into flowers once you have beaten the level, something you are used to seeing in Pikmin 1 and 2. But in this case, you are selecting songs, which I can only assume are from Friday Night Funkin'. And these songs are then recreated in the Pikmin sound font, sometimes entirely from Olimar or Louis' whistle. So that's as wonderful as you can imagine. And let me say, I was not ready for the difficulty of this mod. I don't think it's meant to be played with a D-pad. I think it's probably meant to be played with separated keys on like a keyboard or something like that, which I did attempt to go swap my controls over to a keyboard at one point before realizing I was swapping my controls specifically for a Pikmin 2 Friday Night Funkin' mod and deciding I'm just going to push through with a D-pad instead of messing up my controls. I did go through and at least try every song in this mod, and at some points I was real dedicated to try and get as far as I could. I was streaming my gameplay to some friends at the time, and I had a little birdie in my ear telling me how awful I was doing.
Ben, you suck at this.
Listen.
Yeah, if you watched him play, he's actually.
I just watched you right now. That first set, I don't think you hit a single.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
So I at least tried to prove them wrong. I didn't. but I tried. One of the other exciting things, I guess, that you get to experience in Friday Night Pikmin is finding out not only who your opponent will be, but sometimes who you're even playing as. Because while the game is primarily Olimar versus Louie in most of the songs, sometimes Jack Frost from Persona and Shin Megami Tensei shows up, or sometimes Luigi shows up, or Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. At one point you're going up against Olimar's wife, and then the next moment there's a Roblox character with a pizza on his head, and you really never know what to expect with Friday Night Pikmin. But while I can confidently say I will never be playing Friday Night Pikmin again, I am more just impressed that this game even exists. This is a patched Pikmin 2 ISO. Like, I patched my Pikmin 2 ISO that is like ripped straight from the game, and somehow it turned into a rhythm game with all this craziness going on. So more than anything, I'm just impressed that someone not only attempted this, but pulled it off. So kudos to you. I'll never play it again, but it's cool. So let's quickly turn off Friday Night Pikmin and instead go to something a bit more familiar, something that is actually Pikmin 2 gameplay, and one of my favorite mods I played during all of this, called Endless Abyss. Pikmin 2 famously has a large portion of its gameplay take place within caves. And in these caves, you can't normally propagate Pikmin and do a lot of the things that you're used to in normal Pikmin games. And you either love the unique challenge that these caves present, or absolutely hate how different they are from the rest of the gameplay. And usually that is the thing that decides whether you like Pikmin 2 or you think it's the worst one in the series. And if you're a Pikmin 2 freak like me and like the challenge that these caves present, then I'm sure you know that a lot of these caves are actually randomly generated as you go in, increasing the replayability on return playthroughs and stuff like that. Well, Endless Abyss takes that to a whole new level because this mod is just a endless Pikmin 2 cave. And with me saying that, you already know if you're going to love this or absolutely hate this. And I knew going in that I was in for a ride. So jumping straight into the Endless Abyss, you start with about 60 Pikmin, 20 of each of the primary color types, and in the first floor you are presented with a couple purple and white flowers to turn some of your Pikmin into those subterranean Pikmin types, as well as some Bulbmin, which are the main way you will be getting new Pikmin in this mod, since there is no way to bring enemies back to your onion. But don't let this calm first level give you a false sense of hope, because one of the great things about Endless Abyss is it is random. So you could either be moving on to an extremely easy floor after this, or you could have happen to you what happened to me, which is immediately going on to fight this shrimp guy.
All right, are you telling me that the first cave I get is this guy?
Or the segmented crobster, as he's called in Pikmin 2. So after a long and arduous fight with the segmented crobster, I didn't even have enough Pikmin to bring back the treasure I had, so I pretty much should have just ran forward to the next floor, since you can just skip the floor you're on entirely and move on to the next one if you want. But you know, you take the hand you're dealt and you just move forward. From here, the run ended up being a little bit more normal. I spent a lot of time going through caves with my army of purple Pikmin, which are the primary way to play Pikmin 2 if you don't want to have a miserable time, since when you throw them, they home into enemies and pretty much either one-shot most enemies or stun them long enough for the rest of your Pikmin to kill them, and then would run around with the rest of my Pikmin to pick up all the treasure and the carcasses and stuff like that on each floor. So I made it all the way down to floor 15, and appropriately, this being a floor divisible by 5, it had something in store for me that I handled very poorly.
Oh God.
Anyone who's played Pikmin 2 is probably familiar with one of the least fun bosses to fight in the game, the Man-at-Legs, which is pretty much take one of the Pikmin spider bosses and attach a machine gun to him. Yeah, that was my floor 15, and he killed all but 2 of my Pikmin. It was not one of my prouder Pikmin moments. I went about it trying to strategize with my yellow Pikmin, but when I decided to run away and regroup after he damaged a handful of my Pikmin, he just came with, and from that point on, it was just chaos. Me running around with the entire group of Pikmin because at this point, nowhere was safe. He was shooting me through the wall and killing my Pikmin, and I wasn't able to regroup, to say. And thankfully, these two heroes, this blue and purple Pikmin you see here, were able to destroy the man-at-legs at the end. You didn't drop anything? You killed all of my Pikmin? You didn't drop anything? Why did I not just skip you and go to the next floor? But unfortunately, not only did the man-at-legs not drop any treasure, but I called it quits here as trying to move forward to continue this run with just a blue and purple Pikmin seemed very difficult. So I decided to leave them alive on floor 16, which I assume they will be trapped here with Olimar and Louie for the rest of all time on this snowy cave floor. So after that chaotic end to my Endless Abyss run, I can honestly say I might come back and play this one more. I love Pikmin 2 in general, so the cave gameplay is something right up my alley. And the high score chasing that Pikmin already has with how many days you finish things just feels very natural for this type of gameplay. So even though this is somewhat of a simplistic idea, you take what is already somewhat randomly generated, being the Pikmin 2 caves, make it even more randomly generated and endless, it just works and it's a lot of fun. And this one is actually probably the first mod from this that I can genuinely recommend checking out because it's a really good time. So if you like Pikmin 2 caves, for sure, try out the Endless Abyss. And before we move on to the final and probably most chaotic mod of the day, I do want to talk about probably the coolest mod and most likely to be one you'll actually try, Pikmin 1 Squared. Pikmin 1 Squared is what Pikhacker himself calls his magnum opus Pikmin mod, which is Pikmin 1 for the GameCube entirely remade in the Pikmin 2 engine. Which, if you have not played a ton of Pikmin on the GameCube, you may be like, okay, what's the point? But Pikmin 1 on the GameCube has some rough edges, I'll say. Not only is the Pikmin AI at its most incompetent, but the controls and just some of the quality of life things that we're used to in the later releases of all the Pikmin games, including Pikmin 1, just aren't there. One of the more crazy ones that people don't realize if they've started on like the Wii version or the Switch version is you can't switch what Pikmin is in your hand that you're currently holding in the original Pikmin 1 on the GameCube. Like if you pick up a blue Pikmin and have all the other colors with you in your party, you're stuck with that blue Pikmin until you throw it. Like, there's no way to swap what Pikmin that is in your hand. That wasn't added until Pikmin 2. So not only do you get all the quality of life features from Pikmin 2 in Pikmin 1 on the GameCube without having to play like the new Play Control version or something like that, but they went and added so much content to this game, it's crazy. The settings menu alone has so many things in it that just make the experience so much better. You can mess with the deflicker to make it look better on HD screens. You can go full widescreen. You can swap how the weight numbers on items are displayed to make it look more like the Switch version of the Pikmin games. And that's just the settings menu. As far as new content goes, they added co-op to the entire campaign, just like in Pikmin 3 Deluxe for the Switch. So you can play through with another friend all of Pikmin 1 as 2 Olimars. They also added a randomizer to the game that will randomize tons of different elements to increase the replayability on multiple playthroughs, and added an entirely new campaign for Louie within Pikmin 1 that kind of bridges the gap between Pikmin 1 and 2. And that Louie campaign is no joke. That's hard Pikmin right there. But the fact that all of this was built into essentially the best version of Pikmin 1 for the GameCube is crazy. Now not only can I play all of this new content, but I can relive Pikmin 1 with all of these quality of life improvements and play it on original hardware just like I did all of those years ago on Christmas Eve. So if you play any mod from today, have it be Pikmin 1 squared, as this is for sure the most feature-rich and best way to play Pikmin 1 on the GameCube. That being said, let's move on to the final mod of the day, Pikmin Wars. So this Star Wars themed mod that has very little to do with Star Wars is a 1 cave 4 floor mod that I genuinely can't think of a better way to showcase than to just go through each individual floor with you and show you what I experienced there. So starting with the first floor, which is honestly the most normal out of all of the floors in this mod, we are immediately greeted by our friend who ended our Endless Abyss run, the Man-at Legs. But this time, we don't have any Pikmin. We are by ourselves. The only thing on this floor other than ourselves and a Man-at Legs is, for some reason, a stack of dwarf Bulborbs, sort of like the Stroll and Stew from Mario Sunshine. He's just here, you know, he's just hanging out. The actual goal of this floor is to use the bomb rocks present to defeat the Man-at Legs yourself with no Pikmin. Which, if you've ever played Pikmin 2, you know that bomb rocks are no longer something your Pikmin can use, but rather just an obstacle that at most you can ignite by punching them with your captain if they haven't already ignited by falling on your head in one of the game's many traps. But one of the features added to this mod is actually the ability for your captain to pick up and throw these bomb rocks. This was actually a power-up that you can get in the Endless Abyss mod as well, but this floor is kind of a showcase for this ability by itself. So our goal is to pick up the bomb rocks and destroy the Man-at Legs by ourselves. And if you were me, you also destroyed the stack of Bulborbs to see if they would drop anything.
They're standing on top of each other.
I was killed like 4 of them. Turns out they were just innocent bystanders, so sorry about that, Bulborbs. So how you pick up a bomb rock is you just run into it, and after a little while, your captain will pick it up, and then you can press the A button to huck it, and it'll start exploding. I learned later on that you can punch the bomb rock ahead of time, let its life bar deplete for a bit, and then pick it up like right towards the end, and it won't continue to deplete, and you can throw it after that. That makes it a little easier. I didn't figure that out until like the end of this boss fight. So with that in mind, our goal is to destroy this Man-at Legs and reap our revenge against him for what he did to us in the Endless Abyss before we move on to the next floor. Floor 2 is where things really start to get interesting. As you can see, Olimar is falling down to this floor with a new item next to him, that item being the Pikmin gun. This floor is entirely a first-person shooter segment, which, keep in mind, is built into a strategy game's game engine and controls perfectly fine. You are given an allotment of time to rip and tear through as many of these Pikmin enemies as you possibly can, getting as high of a score before the time runs out as possible. And not only is this just crazy that it exists, this also makes the Pikmin enemies have a whole new level of just horror to them, because when you are the size of Olimar at a first-person perspective, these Pikmin enemies are quite frightening.
Hi.
But luckily for you, the Pikmin gun does short work of all of these enemies, and it is honestly not a bad time. It's a pretty fun experience. But after the time limit is up, you unfortunately must say goodbye to the Pikmin gun as we move on to the 3rd floor, which once again is a completely different gameplay type. Landing on floor 3, we are not only greeted by our friend Louie, but also our friend from the beginning of the video, Gilbert, as we will be racing Louie on Mario Circuit from Mario Kart Double Dash on top of water wraiths. This is a 1-lap race around Mario Circuit against Louie, where we can run over eggs and send a Bulborb with a bomb rock towards our opponent to slow him down as we try to prove once and for all that we are the best water wraith pilot there is, and we trained for this in Gilbert and Hank earlier on in the video. So there will be no contest as to who is the best water wraith racer here. For the majority of it, I didn't even see Louis because I had training for this. The biggest hurdle was honestly the camera because once I went into the tunnel on this track, there was a period of time where I just was looking at the side of a mountain. But once I was able to make it through that mountain, everything was smooth sailing. I beat Louis fairly easily. And once you've completed the race, you can run around Mario Circuit for a little bit if you've ever wanted to see what it would feel like to run around a Mario Kart track as Olimar. But once you're ready, you can hop down the hole to the final floor in Pikmin Wars. Now at this point, I'm sure you're wondering what could they possibly be doing for the 4th floor, since they recreated a boss from the main game, albeit without any Pikmin, and this time utilizing a new bomb throw mechanic, then made a first-person shooter score attack game mode, all in the Pikmin 2 engine, followed up by a kart racer on top of water wraiths against Louis with item blocks in a Mario Kart stage. What could they possibly do for floor 4 of this mod? Well, they took inspiration from another GameCube game and recreated the Chuckya stage from Mario Sunshine in Pikmin, which is just as infuriating in Pikmin as it is in Mario Sunshine. This time, however, you can't talk to the Piantas, so they're just homing in on you constantly. And when they get to you, they're throwing you whether you're ready or not. So the main challenge of the Chuckya stage this time around in Pikmin is to not only find the correct place to stand to then be thrown by these Piantas, but also to kind of kite them around so that they approach you at the correct angle. I then soon realized that my real enemy in all of this is the Pikmin camera.
Where am I supposed to go? Where am I supposed to go?
Since at some points I couldn't even see where I was supposed to be going, so I just had to kind of trial and error my way and see if after they threw me, if I ended up on a platform, or at least I could see a platform as I was flying off into the distance to know I went the right way, which sometimes wasn't even the case. I'd just get hucked into the abyss.
Which way would I chuck you then?
Probably this way. It wasn't that way.
And this abyss wasn't as enjoyable as the endless one. But once I got to the end, instead of a shine sprite, I am greeted by a geyser, which then ends my journey in Pikmin Wars. Which honestly, Pikmin Wars is an experience. Out of all of the crazy mods I played today, this is the one I could probably recommend most people try out, especially if you're a fan of Pikmin and just crazy mods and stuff, because it's just insane to experience these new gameplay types inside of Pikmin. Like, it's just so cool that this was even possible. So if you're like me and you find that interesting, I can't recommend this enough. The whole thing is like 30 minutes long, so definitely give it a shot. And unlike some of the other crazy ones I played, this one's actually genuinely like a good time more than it is just cool that it exists. So it's quick, you know, play through it and it'll definitely leave an impression. But those are all the Pikmin mods I will be trying out today. Huge shout out to PickHacker for creating all of these, since he was the creator of every mod I played today. He is an extremely prominent Pikmin modder within that community, and I would highly recommend any, if not all, of his creations. I barely scratched the surface. You can find so many more mods on his website, which if you are interested, just Google search PickHacker and it will most likely be the top result on your Google search. I would put it down below, but you know, mods, patches, that kind of stuff is a little bit of a gray area, so it's very easy to find his website. It's a GitHub URL, so if you see a GitHub URL after searching PickHacker, along with that, just a few honorable mentions of mods that I will definitely be trying out in the future, but just didn't have enough time to put them into this video. PickHacker has created a handful of custom campaigns for Pikmin 2. One of them is called Colossal Caverns, and the other one is called Pikmin 251. I definitely want to try those out. I believe Colossal Caverns is so big that you can't play it on an original GameCube, so I'm interested to see how that goes. He also has some tools for modders, speedrunners, that kind of thing, as well as another multiplayer mod, along with the one built into Pikmin 1 Squared. He has a 4-player Pikmin 2 mod that allows you to play through the entirety of the Pikmin 2 campaign with up to 4 of your friends. So if that sounds fun to you, definitely give that one a shot. All of these years later, I still love the Pikmin franchise. I plan on continuing to replay the mainline games over and over again and continually bug my friends until they eventually play Pikmin 3 Bingo Battle with me, which is the best of the versus modes, by the way. Exploring the mod scene today just made me even more excited for future content, whether that be official or fan-made, because any Pikmin content is amazing, and already the mods in this relatively new scene are insane. The stuff they have been able to accomplish in Pikmin 2 alone is beyond what I could have ever expected. So I can't wait to see where this goes, to try out more and more Pikmin mods as the years go on, and to continue to be obsessed with my little plant-like buddies. Hopefully you enjoyed this look at the Pikmin modding scene, and maybe it even encouraged you to give one of these mods a shot. But more than anything, I'm glad you just made it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this brief look into the Pikmin modding scene. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, share it around, all of that fun stuff. It shows me that people actually enjoy this type of stuff that I'm making. Since I'm relatively new to this YouTube scene, it really means a lot. Again, thank you for watching the video, and until next time, bye.
Brennan, do you know how big the Pikmin characters are?
They're probably like a centimeter tall.
They're the size of a GameCube memory card.
That's way too big.